All right, happy Friday, everyone, and happy Halloween to all of you who are going to be out there and probably heading out later on this evening. Meteorologist Adam Claibon here with you on this first alert night and day heading into the day tomorrow, as rain is starting to pick up now, and it's something that we're going to be monitoring, especially once we head into the nighttime hours, because of one, it's just going to be a nuisance to be out there in it. It's going to be heavier rain at times. Many of us probably going to be either out with the kids trick-or-treating, or maybe we have other plans later on here into the night, and there could be the potential for possible flooding in a few spots. That threat is likely going to be low in a lot of locations, but since we do have some warmer snow levels, or at least some higher snow levels, we are going to see some snow melt to go along with this heavier pocket of rain that's going to be coming through tonight, and then more to come as we head on into the day for tomorrow. So that's something we're going to be covering and monitoring. On top of that, we're keeping an eye out for more of those strong gusty winds that are going to be around. We have one round tonight, and then we have another round coming into the day for tomorrow. That probably looks like more the timing between mid to late morning on Saturday and into the earlier half of the afternoon heading into Saturday. So we'll talk about that burst of winds that we're expecting. But first, we are going to talk about more just the rainfall that's ahead for us here as we get ready to head on into the night. So let's get into that. First alert mode here for tonight and heading on into the day for Saturday, and that will be for the potential for this rain moving on in. Now, we still have it moving on throughout the daytime hours here, so you expect to see some of those showers. It's just, it looks like the majority of the heavy rain for now is going to be staying across more the northern and western areas here of western Washington, more so across northwest interior and over the Olympic Peninsula. Then once we head into the night, that's when we start to see some of these heavier bands of rain moving through. We'll have some of those breezy winds too that will be in place, and check out the snow levels. They're all the way up to 9,000 feet. So that means we're going to get some snow melt and rain on top of snow that we had earlier last week. So we should start to see that flow at some point down into our streams, our creeks, and yes, into our rivers. Now, Saturday, we're expecting more heavy pockets of rain too. The majority of those will be during the first half of the day, and then eventually we'll see that start to taper off to more showers. And it's going to be at that point too, with this area of low pressure moving through, that will have the potential for seeing the possibility of some of those gusts getting up closer to about 30, 35, maybe 40 miles per hour, at least in excess of 30 miles per hour, it looks like, with this system rolling on through. And snow levels will start to come down at that point, and we'll continue to see more of that as we head on into Saturday night and into the day on Sunday, where we could see just a little mountain snow start to develop and at least stick around as we head on into that time. So forecast is looking pretty busy here, but I wanted to start off with this right here, and this is the latest drought monitor. I wanted to say that this is actually going to be really beneficial for a good part of our area. Now, the drought monitor that you're seeing right now, this is from the previous week. This is from, I guess, a week ago when it was released on the previous Thursday. And I want you to pay attention to two specific spots right here and over this way. You can see quite a bit of severe drought showing up in those locations. Now, as I advance this will be the drought monitor that was just issued and released yesterday, and you can see that that has been erased. So good news on that front, and the rain that's coming in will continue to help out with that. Of course, we don't want to see too much of it coming in at one time. Of course, that's when you start to deal with more flooding concerns and issues. But for right now, it looks like we're not going to see too widespread of issues, but there are some areas that have a higher potential of maybe some flooding, which we're going to outline for you coming up here in just a few minutes. All right, so the forecast as we head on into the next 7-day stretch, staying active. We got more rain on the way even after this system heading on into the day for tomorrow, but it looks like more of those showers will be kind of off and fairly light in nature as we head into Sunday and Monday. And then by the time we head into the middle of next week, we'll keep an eye out for that system as we head on into the first week of November. For right now, skies now beginning to darken, thicker cloud coverage as well as the sun beginning to set, but we are seeing some of that rain beginning to move on in here across parts of western Washington and closer here to I-5, where you can see that now beginning to fall here in Seattle with the raindrops showing on the camera lens as temperatures sit generally in those low 50s. Now the winds are not too breezy right now, currently coming in at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Expect those to pick up just a bit more though as we head on into the night. Looks like we'll get this first round of some steady and heavier rain coming in between about now until I would say 9 to 10 p.m. later on into the night. By about 11 p.m. there's a slight break, a little less in terms of rainfall. And then once we head on into the latter part of the night, there's going to be the second surge with that area of low pressure beginning to sweep its way on through. Here's radar, and you can see that that big band is now beginning to find its way here across areas of western Washington. As I zoom into a few spots right here, I wanted to show you where here around Seattle, we are beginning to pick up on some of that rain that's moving through the area, and it's coming down lightly for now, but the heavier stuff with the deeper greens and some of the yellows that you see off to the north and west, it's on the way, and so it's going to be a part of your forecast here as we head on into the night, as this big area of low pressure that continues to spin here across parts of the Gulf of Alaska. Now, the second surge I keep referring to, that's going to come in with this particular disturbance right here. There's a piece of energy that's going to move in from the southwest, and that's going to head northeast and eventually start to enhance the rainfall and the wind as we head late into the night and more so into the day tomorrow when it comes to more of the wind. Because of that, we do have flood watches out for some of our spots. Those include Mason County, all the way up towards the Canadian border, Whatcom County, Skagit County, Snohomish County, and also in King County. That's where we have a good amount of snowfall that's fallen here earlier into the week, and where we probably expect to see some of the heaviest rain. And when you combine the two, of course, that's going to start to flow down into those streams, creeks, and rivers to create the higher levels of water that we're expecting with that. As far as what's going to be happening, though, if you're heading out later this evening with the kids, again, Halloween is looking like it's going to be wet, so definitely prepare for that, as we're going to see temperatures in the lower 50s here as we head on into the evening, and rain will be around, so pack the rain gear with you and just make sure that you have a plan if you are going to be caught out in the rain. All right, let's get back into what we're expecting and how this all times out for you. We're looking at Futurecast here, and Futurecast shows as we head on here into the next few hours, we're going to have that rain coming down at a pretty heavy clip at times. Now, this is 7 p.m., and you can see we're starting to get on the back edge of this main band of rain, meaning we could start to see maybe a little bit of a break by that 9 to 10 o'clock time I was telling you about earlier. So that starts to push its way off to the east, but then we get this second surge with that area of low pressure that comes in from the south, and that starts to draw in more moisture, and we're talking about more steady and heavy rain again as we head into early tomorrow morning. This is 4 to 5 o'clock here into Saturday morning. We continue on. You can definitely tell more pockets of rain will be moving their way on through, and as I back this up for you, you can see that really impacting the area from about mid to late morning. That's 9 to 10 right there, all the way until about 1 to 2 o'clock. We're going to be at the back edge of the system at that point, and then the moisture will head off to the east. We still have to deal with a brief period of wind even after that, but I think by the time we head into the evening hours, we're seeing that the winds slowly but surely will begin to gradually calm down for us and weaken as we head on into Saturday evening and Saturday night. Still more rain to come, though. You can see more pockets of energy, areas of moisture coming through, and we'll get these off and on waves of rain that will be with us here as we head on into Saturday night and into the day on Sunday. Lower snow levels at that point, so we are going to get a little accumulating snow, especially for those elevations that will be above probably 4,500 or 5,000 feet with that. Let's talk about rainfall totals here. We'll see that those amounts will generally range, I'm going to say, between about 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches. Some latest model data indicating closer to 2 inches of rain. This is going to be a soaker. It is. Next 48 hours, definitely looking to be very wet for us. Maybe a little overdone on some of the totals that you're seeing right here, but either way, going to be a good dose of rain coming through here as we get ready to end off the month of October. Rain shadow spots up this way around Port Townsend, Mount Vernon. You can see some of those amounts a little on the lower side, so not expecting as high of totals, but still expect a decent amount of rain out of this too. And it just depends on where exactly these bands of rain will track through as we head on into the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, since we did talk about the higher snow levels, here they are right here for you. You can see those up around 8,000 feet as we head on into the day tomorrow, actually up closer to 9,000 feet as we head on into the night. And then they drop a bit more. Heading on into Sunday, down to 4,000 feet, 3,500 feet into next Monday, and then we kind of bounce back and forth. So we'll see some melting, but we'll also put down a little snow, but this is not going to be a big mountain snow producer for us here as we go throughout the weekend. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and show you what those totals are looking like. Baker, again, higher elevation there. Paradise, a little more too as far as the elevation. Expecting that amounts could maybe get closer to 3, 4, 5 inches of snow there. Stevens Pass, this is going to be the back edge of it as that convergence zone activity picks up, and also as we see those lower snow levels heading on into Sunday. But again, not a big snow producer with this, so that's why we are going to have quite a bit of melting and the adding of more rain and water into our rivers, streams, and creeks, thus really encouraging and helping out and providing the flooding concern that we're going to be dealing with. So for tonight's lows, wanted to show you this, dropping down into the 40s in some spots, 50s in others, and then up across the passes here, staying above freezing for Stevens, Snoqualmie, and White Pass. Each one of those numbers going to be above the freezing point. So a bit of a milder night ahead of us over there, and then highs tomorrow going to be above freezing as well. As highs off towards the west here for most of us in the lowlands will be right around the upper 60s and upper 50s, and lower 60s. Areas up that way around Bellingham a bit cooler, Orcas Island up to 52 degrees. Your 7-day forecast again, first alert day here for Saturday, and remember we're going to be in first alert mode again also for tonight as we expect to see the rain firmly coming down, and then we'll see a little less of it as we head on into Sunday, and definitely we'll see more chances as we head on into next week. Now that's a lot on what we just talked about as far as the rain and precipitation ahead for us and the flooding concerns that we have. We do still have to get a little more into the wind, and we're going to tell you exactly what we're expecting with that here as we head over the next 24 hours coming up.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.
welcome back, everyone. So we just talked about the rain and how much is on the way and how that is going to lead to some flooding concerns for us as we head over the next 24 hours. Not a huge concern, and a lot of that rain going to be beneficial, but especially if you're living closer to those waters, those streams, those creeks, some of those rivers, you're going to want to be careful of some of those areas of possibly getting some higher water, especially with the higher snow levels and the snow melt that we're going to see. Now we're going to get into what we're possibly going to get in, what we're going to have to deal with when it comes to our winds. And winds so far here today have actually been on the higher side out towards the north coast and up this way through parts of our islands and northwest interior. That's where you're seeing some of those gusts closer to 30, 35, even closing in on 40 miles per hour. We're seeing that down towards the south coast too, 43 for peak gusts so far today out at Hoquiam. So that's another aspect of our first alert event that we're going to be talking about here through the night and into the day on Saturday will be the potential for those strong gusts. Now this first round is going to be mainly for the coast and especially the north coast and areas around northwest interior. The second round of wind that we're expecting, that's into the day tomorrow, and that's more mid to late morning and on into maybe more so the earlier half of the afternoon. Guess what? Just like last week, we could be potentially talking about power outages again to go along with this. Still a decent amount of leaves on trees, and we're expecting some of those gusts to be, again, 30 plus. So that could mean even getting closer to 40 or maybe even 50 miles per hour at some point tomorrow, and that will be more widespread and impact much more, or many more of us here getting closer to Puget Sound. So that's going to include everybody here. We all in Western Washington at least get one round of wind out of this as we head over the next 24 to 36 hours. And tomorrow, because of that reason, we're in first alert mode. Expecting things to quiet down a bit more heading on into Sunday, and expect as we head on into next week some showers kind of off and on, and we'll keep things fairly active as far as our pattern is concerned. But wanted to start you off here in La Push and show you how the north coast, we are dealing with quite the wave action right now. Some high waves there with some of the stronger winds that we're seeing with this system, and sun is setting, so it's kind of hard to pick out everything that's going on, but we got the rain coming down at a pretty steady clip here into our Friday evening. Bellingham, cloudy skies, rain's been coming down here for a little while too. Not as windy right now. The bay not looking to be too choppy yet, but we're one of the spots under that wind advisory in our Columbia Tower here in Seattle. Well, we're not under the wind advisory, but do expect to see some periods of breezier conditions as we head on into the evening, more so tomorrow. And rain, yeah, that's going to be with us as we go on here into the night. There it is. You can see that thick band of rain that's moving on through a very thick and intense area of moisture. That plume will continue to bring us more rain as we head on here into the evening. And as I zoom out, I did want to show you that next wave of wind that's going to be coming in with this next little potent area of low pressure that's going to be pushing on through. With that guy right there that you see off towards the south and to the west, that will be the one responsible for enhancing the rainfall as we head on into tonight and keeping it around to start off. Heading on into the day on Saturday, we'll see a gradual decrease in the rainfall and eventually the pop in winds that we're going to have before those start to die off too as we head on into more of the evening hours. All right, let's talk about what's happening though with the rain or the winds that we're going to be seeing here with this event heading on into the night, because we are going to focus a bit more on that here initially. We do have wind alerts, wind advisories out for the north coast as well as for areas across Camino, Whidbey Island, the San Juans, western Whatcom County, and right there around Discovery Bay. Through 7 p.m. here along the north coast, possible gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And for those of us across more northwest interior, we're going to have that advisory with us until 10 p.m. heading on into the night. So let's talk about timing with that. You can see some of the wind gusts are going to be around about that 30 to 40 mile per hour range, at least widespread. This is 8 o'clock tonight. A lot of that beginning to head farther to the east at that point. Those of us here farther north around Bellingham, Orcas Island, Mount Vernon, starting to see some of those gusts inching up closer to about maybe 35, 40 miles per hour, but they do die off as we get later on into the night. By about 10 or 11 o'clock, we're outside of the window of that advisory, and we're starting to see these winds come down for at least a little while. And you'll continue to see as we head on deeper into the night, not as much of that wind will be in place. Once we go on into the early morning hours of Saturday, you'll start to see off here towards the south and to the west, that area of low pressure starting to bring its energy with it and helping to increase the wind. So where you have some of the oranges and some of the reds, those are stronger wind gusts. If you look at the color table there at the top, when you get into the purple range, that's when you're going to start to see some of those gusts getting closer to about 40 miles per hour. More of that coming up a little bit later here in this video, but I did want to point out what's going to be going on tonight here around areas such as the Seattle area. If you're going to be out and about and going trick-or-treating with the kids, 8 to 9 o'clock, we're still seeing some of those winds between about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now, those are sustained winds. Those aren't the really punches and the burst of winds that we get, which we call gust. But the gust that you see above that in more of the purple and fuchsia color, well, that's up around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's going to be the windier period, but it does start to die off again closer to about 10 o'clock later on into the night before it starts to ramp up again as we go into the middle and latter part of tomorrow morning. So going to be a pretty breezy time. Forecasted lows tonight again dropping down into more of the 40s here across the region. So if you're going out, make sure to have something warm for the kids and for yourself too if you're going to be out and about. And we'll show you one more time the 7-day forecast here, which does keep things pretty active as we go on into the day tomorrow, and we'll keep more showers around as we head throughout Sunday. It looks like all the way through next Friday, more off and on in nature, and probably not as steady as what we're dealing with this particular event. All right, so now we're going to get into more of what we're going to expect tomorrow with that wind event and talk about how that could produce maybe a bit of a higher potential for power outages right after this. Stick right here.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update the drug labeling by adding warnings or updated dosage information. Changes could also include the FDA requesting a drug recall. Find the answers at fda.gov/drugs.
Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to start off now with showing you the water vapor imagery, because that's kind of giving you the detailed look of all this moisture that's coming into our area right now. It's all part of an atmospheric river, one that's going to be mainly beneficial for many of us, kind of a bit heavy and excessive on the rain, but at the same time too, bringing in some milder air to help to raise and keep those snow levels up a bit more, so that the snow that we did get last weekend is going to melt and bring down some of that snow and that water into our streams and our creeks, giving us the higher potential for maybe some flooding out there. So let's start off with the water vapor imagery. I wanted to show you how just deep this moisture is for us right now, showing up all across the Pacific Northwest. Where you're seeing some of those greens there, that's where the moisture is extremely deep and where we're having some really moist air. And so where the system is able to tap into that moisture and to produce some of the heavier rain that we're expecting as we head on into the night and into the day for Saturday. Now, just behind that, there's another weak impulse in the atmosphere. It's going to gather a little more strength and help to develop quite a bit more energy to help to produce some stronger winds as we head on into the day for tomorrow, and it will be a bit more widespread. Kind of hard to tell again, but it's over this way, getting closer to areas here just south and east, or south and west, sorry, of Washington and off the Oregon coast. Once that starts to get its act together, you'll start to see another round of rain really start to come back in after we get a slight break later on here into the night. First, though, we do have those wind alerts. We do have more advisories that have just been issued here by the National Weather Service. Now, these are new, and it looks like those of us, as you go closer to now areas around Seattle and farther south, are going to be dealing with these winds into the day for tomorrow. Let me see if I can get that updated information for you, because we did just get that in. We're expecting those winds to pick up later on tomorrow morning. We were mentioning to you that we are expecting the main batch of that second wave of rain to come in, mainly so towards the middle and second half of the morning, and then on into the early part of the afternoon as well. So I continue to kind of get a little bit of an update on this new advisory that came in. Okay, finally got it. Looks like the new advisory that's been issued here by the National Weather Service is going to start at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we expect that to hang with us until 5 p.m. heading into tomorrow afternoon, and that's pretty much going to include everyone here in Western Washington, including now the lowlands. The wind advisory for tonight, just for the north coast and northwest interior. The one that's in effect for tomorrow, that will include, looks like, everyone here in the lowland area, including more of the I-5 corridor. And this will be for some of those gusts that could get up potentially to about 40 to maybe 45 miles per hour. Sustained winds, again, not the burst of winds, but sustained winds will be between about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So kind of good to get you this updated information here in the middle of this video. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be seeing here as far as the wind is concerned here as we go throughout the next few days, because we do expect those winds to pick up and continue to produce some breezier conditions here as we head on into the night. Right now, though, that's going to be coming along with a little less of the wind and the rain. Columbia Tower camera here in Seattle, definitely painting the picture of a gloomy and wet Halloween that we have ahead for us, and any sort of trick-or-treating that you might have too, not looking to be too fun to be out in here into the evening. We'll keep the rain with us here for the next few hours. You can see by about maybe 9 o'clock, you get a little bit of that break here later on into the evening, and we expect that more rain will enhance yet again with that second surge of moisture that's going to be coming in with that area of low pressure. So let's talk about that. We were just talking about how that second wave is going to be coming in, and that's going to help to enhance the rainfall for us on into the day for tomorrow, and the winds too. There it is. There's that second batch of energy that's coming in with that area of low pressure. With that being the case, we also are still expecting to have some pretty heavy rain here as we go throughout the night. So as I show this to you, those areas shaded in green, that's where we are possibly going to see some flooding. Now, it's going to be isolated in nature, so nothing that will be too widespread, but that will be the main cause of the flooding that we're going to see. Some of this heavy rain that's going to come on through. On top of that as well, we do have snow levels that will be around, if not in excess of 8,000 feet, meaning that high snow levels, rain falling on top of snow will cause more melting, and we're going to see that all find its way down into our rivers, streams, and our creeks. All right, back on to the winds, because we do expect the winds to start to ramp up just a bit more heading on into the second part of the morning tomorrow. So this is 6:30. You can see a lot of that still farther south with the purple showing up, and that coloration indicates where we have some of those gusts getting closer to about 45 to 50 miles per hour as we head into 10 to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can see that with us here over parts of Puget Sound. At that point, we're talking about the potential for power outages that will be with us, and that will continue on into early tomorrow afternoon, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, before eventually starting to let up. So again, this evening, just a little bit of that wind out there. And then we'll head on into the day tomorrow, and as we get closer to that mid to late morning time period, that's when the winds will start to pick back up. All right, 7-day forecast again, as we show it to you. Expect to see things stay on the breezy and wet side into the day tomorrow. We'll be in first alert for you here coming up as we go throughout the night and into the day tomorrow. We'll have more live updates just like this, as well as your extended forecast on King 5 Plus and King5.com. We'll see you later. Stay safe.
New data about safety and effectiveness can come to light. The FDA keeps track of that new data, which can come from patients, drug makers, or healthcare professionals, and may include information about negative reactions to prescriptions. Based on this information, the FDA may recommend that the drug maker update